Welcome back to End Zone Focus. The 2013 census figures confirm New Zealand's population is both growing in ethnic diversity and aging. And a worrying trend seems to be that instead of looking after our elders, we seem to be actively devaluing their worth in our society. Support group Age Concern estimates that around 20,000 older people experience some form of abuse every year. That's nearly 400 people every week who are mistreated financially, emotionally, or physically. And with an increasingly diverse population, elder abuse amongst immigrants is also becoming more common. Auckland is home to nearly 2/3 of all Kiwi Asians, and that's where the Shanti Niwas Charitable Trust has been serving the South Asian community for 20 years. I met with social worker Nilima Venkat to find out more about how their organization is tackling the problem of elder abuse.
Shanti Niwas Charitable Trust is an organization which provides social support services for older people of Indian and South Asian origin. When the immigration started in the 90s, when it picked up in the 90s, there were a lot of older people who came along with their families, because in our culture we don't like to leave the older people back home. So most of them came with their families to New Zealand, but when they came here there was a lot of difficulties they faced, which included language and transport and not knowing the culture of this place. The new immigrants' families who came were busy with their own lives, didn't have much time for the older people, so they were kind of lost in this new land. Basically, we run day programs for senior citizens, and apart from that we do advocacy, counseling and any age-related issues, and we connect them to the various community organizations, events. There's a lot of support that the government gives for the older people, like home help and home-based services, so we help them access those services because most of them are immigrants. We also have a special program called Khushi, which is our elder abuse and prevention service.
Although most families do treat their elders well, the 40-odd cases Khushi is dealing with represent a growing number of Indians who are losing traditional values like respect for elders.
There is still respect is there, and that is the main aim of our program also, to work with the families and the community to educate them about our culture. We run a lot of workshops on elder abuse and how to prevent elder abuse and what actually constitutes elder abuse.
Nilima says Age Concern sends her quite a few seniors whose relatives take advantage of the difficulties they have with the English language, social isolation and ignorance about their legal rights in this country.
When they get Indian or South Asian clients, they send them over to us to provide that cultural support. And we also get our referrals from the hospitals, from other government agencies and community. We saw that from the last 2 years, elder abuse has been on the rise in our communities, unfortunately, and that is not actually a part of our culture. It is, I think, a change of values mostly, and intergenerational gap which is coming up. We see a lot of issues between the grandchildren and grandparents nowadays, which is not a very nice thing. No, these old people come from a generation where they have set ideas and values and don't want to change their values with the changing times. But the younger generation is moving too fast ahead for them, and that's where the conflict starts. Yeah. Most of the perpetrators of crime are caretakers, family. So these older people feel very ashamed that, and to talk about it, because for whom do they talk about? Most of the people don't even know they have. Government gives them a financial support and help, but most of the families, it goes into the joint accounts of the families, and they're left with a pittance, and they have to ask the family for everything. Khushi means happiness. So what does a person who's 70 or 80 or 90 years old in his life, he needs happiness. So we've got a positive name for that, and the outcome of the work we do with them is that we want happiness in their lives. Through this program, we have created that sense of comfort in them, so they can come and talk to us in confidence. It's a free and confidential service, and they come and talk to us about their problems, their issues, and then we see how to work with them.
Nilima says Khushi is not only a haven of happiness and respite for the victims of elder abuse, but also seeks to facilitate reconciliation within families. She's encouraging elderly Indians to learn to ask for help and urges new generations of Indians to empathize with and stand up for their elders.
We've got 2 trained social workers. I'm one of them, and I've got one more staff who's a social worker. And we tell them to talk in the early stages, but by the time the case comes to us, it's quite bad. And people are very frustrated and angry, and sometimes it's settled amicably, but sometimes due to safety reasons, we have to move the older person out of the house. It is very important not to turn away and say, oh, it's not my problem, I don't know about that. If anybody knows that somebody is being abused, either in the family or friend circle, it is very important to talk to that person and seek help. So everybody who sees anybody being abused, not just elderly, anybody, I think should stand up and say, I will go and help them.
Social worker Nilima Venkat talking to me there about increasing elder abuse in New Zealand's Asian community. Still to come, transforming lives in the slums of Delhi. Andrew Urquhart talks to founder and director of ASHA next.